Buckingham Palace has just been hit with a seismic shockwave, the likes of which hasn't been felt since the death of Princess Diana. The Golden Gates are bolted shut, the royal standard is flying at half-mast, and inside the cold stone corridors of the monarchy's most ancient institutions, pure, unadulterated panic is spreading like wildfire. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, the most stoic, unbreakable, and terrifyingly loyal woman in the history of the modern royal family, has just broken down. This is not a woman who cries. This is a woman who was kidnapped at gunpoint and calmly told her captors to just go away. This is a woman who has carried out over 20,000 royal engagements without a single complaint. She is the Iron Lady of the House of Windsor. She is the glue holding the fracturing monarchy together. And today, she stood before a hastily assembled group of senior palace aides and royal correspondents, her voice cracking, her eyes filled with tears, and delivered a heartbreaking announcement that has left King Charles III stunned, Prince William paralyzed, and the British public staring into the abyss of a future without a crown. The palace is in absolute chaos. They have tried to hide the sickness of the king. They have tried to cover up the disappearance of the Princess of Wales. They have desperately spun the web of lies surrounding the secret billions and the exile of Prince Harry. But they cannot spin this. The hardest-working royal in British history has reached her breaking point, and what she just revealed is not just a personal tragedy, it is the final nail in the coffin of the House of Windsor. If you think the royal family has been in crisis before, prepare yourself, because the announcement that just came out of Buckingham Palace is the most devastating blow the monarchy has suffered in modern history. The fairy tale is dead. The Magi. C is gone. And the woman who was supposed to be the monarchy's ultimate savior has just walked away in tears. To understand the sheer, earth-shattering magnitude of Princess Anne breaking down, you have to understand the woman herself. For over 70 years, Anne Elizabeth Alice Louise has been the ultimate royal enforcer. While her brother Charles was parading around with his philosophical musings and his tortured love life, Anne was putting her head down and doing the work. While her younger brother Andrew was cavorting with billionaires and bringing shame upon the crown, Anne was visiting hospitals, shaking hands in the freezing rain, and dedicating her life to the institutions that hold the country together. She didn't seek the spotlight. She despised it. She viewed the press with a cold, unwavering suspicion. She never gave a single inch to the media, never complained, and never explained. She believed that duty was not a choice, but a biological imperative. She was the one who held the family together during the disasters of the 1990s. When Charles's marriage to Diana exploded, Anne was the one who maintained public appearances and shielded the Queen from the fallout. When Prince Andrew was exposed in the Epstein scandal, it was Anne who quietly stepped up her duties to cover the massive gap left by his disgrace. She has been the silent, uncomplaining engine of the British monarchy for half a century, and she has been doing it while quietly suffering. For years, the palace has hidden the physical toll that relentless royal duty takes on the human body. But behind the scenes, Princess Anne has been in chronic pain. Old injuries from her spectacular equestrian career, she was the first British royal to compete in the Olympic Games, have ravaged her joints. She has undergone multiple hip replacements, knee surgeries, and spinal procedures. She has pus, heaved through agonizing pain, standing for hours on end, waving from balconies and walking miles of rope lines, all with a stoic, unbreakable smile. She believed that the institution of the crown was bigger than her pain. She believed that her duty was to serve, no matter the cost. But even the strongest iron eventually shatters. When King Charles was diagnosed with cancer, the burden on Anne doubled. When Kate Middleton vanished from public view, the burden tripled. When Prince William retreated to Adelaide Cottage to care for his sick wife, Anne was left to carry the entire weight of the monarchy on her injured, exhausted shoulders. She became the de facto face of the royal family. She was the only senior working royal left standing. She toured the country, met with foreign dignitaries, and kept the wheels turning, all while pushing 75 years old and battling chronic pain. The palace took advantage of her unbreakable loyalty. They piled more and more duties onto her plate, knowing she would never say no. They used her as a human shield, a buffer to deflect public criticism away from the absent Prince of Wales and the incapacitated king. And then, the breaking point arrived. The scene inside the palace was described by insiders as deeply distressing. There was no grand fanfare, no polished press release, just a hastily arranged briefing in a small, dimly lit room. Princess Anne walked in. She did not look like the fearsome, unyielding royal the public knows. She looked exhausted. She looked frail, and according to those present, she looked deeply, profoundly sad. She stood before the room and delivered the announcement that has sent shockwaves through the British establishment. The Princess Royal is stepping back from all public royal duties, effective immediately. This is not a vacation. This is not a sabbatical. This is a complete, total withdrawal from the front lines of the monarchy. But it was not just the announcement of her retirement that left the room stunned. It was the raw, unfiltered emotion with which she delivered it. For the first time in her life, Princess Anne broke down. Her voice trembled. She paused, took a deep breath, and wiped a tear from her eye. She did not hide it. She did not apologize for it. She let the world see her pain, and her words were a devastating indictment of the current state of the royal family. She reportedly told the room that she could no longer serve an institution that consumes its own. She spoke of the irreparable fracturing of the family. She spoke of the crushing weight of covering for absent relatives. She spoke of the physical and emotional toll of holding together a family that seemed determined to tear itself apart. She did not name names. She didn't have to. Everyone in the room knew exactly who she was talking about. She was talking about King Charles, whose obsession with Camilla and his secret billions had blinded him to the destruction of his own family. She was talking about Prince William, who had abandoned his duties to hide in the countryside while she single-handedly kept the monarchy afloat. She was talking about Prince Harry, whose public betrayal had inflicted wounds that would never heal. And most of all, she was talking about the ghost of Queen Elizabeth II. Anne reportedly said that she could no longer watch her mother's legacy be dismantled piece by piece. She said that the Queen would be horrified by what the monarchy has become. She said that the institution no longer resembled the one she had dedicated her life to serving. She looked at the assembled aides and said, "I have given everything, and there is nothing left to give." With that, the Princess Royal turned and walked out. The room was left in stunned silence. The woman who was supposed to be the ultimate survivor, the last bastion of old-school royal duty, had just publicly surrendered. She had effectively declared that the monarchy was no longer worth saving. We are witnessing the most emotional and dramatic moment in modern royal history. The Iron Lady of the royal family has broken down and walked away. But before we expose the catastrophic fallout of Anne's resignation, we need you in this with us. If you think Princess Anne is right to step down, and that the royal family has become too toxic to serve, hit the subscribe button and drop a 1 in the comments right now. But if you think she is abandoning her duty and leaving the monarchy to die, hit subscribe and drop a 2. We need to know where you stand because the palace is watching the public reaction to decide their next move. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next massive update. We are just getting to the most terrifying part of this royal crisis. Now, back to the chaos. What pushed the Iron Lady over the edge? What was the catalyst that turned a lifetime of stoic duty into a tearful surrender? It wasn't just exhaustion. It wasn't just the pain. It was a massive, explosive confrontation that took place behind the closed doors of Balmoral Castle just days before her announcement. Princess Anne had watched the royal family crumble throughout the year. She watched King Charles, weakened by cancer, sign away his power to Prince William. She watched William immediately use that power to launch a ruthless legal strike against Camilla's children, invoking the Ancient Treason Act of 1702 to exile them from the royal orbit. Anne was furious. She had warned Charles that his obsessive favoritism toward Camilla's family was dangerous. She had warned him that his secret financial dealings would be exposed, and she had warned William that his ruthless ambition would tear the family apart, but neither of them listened. The Balmoral showdown was the climax of years of simmering resentment. Anne demanded a meeting with Charles and William. She wanted to lay everything on the table. She wanted to force them to see the damage they were doing. According to palace insiders, the meeting was volcanic. Anne reportedly confronted Charles about his secret will. She accused him of betraying the memory of Queen Elizabeth II by siphoning billions of her private wealth into trusts for Camilla. She told him he was a disgrace to the crown, and that his reign would be remembered as a failure. Charles, reportedly weeping, tried to defend himself. He said he was protecting his wife. He said he was afraid of William. He said he was dying and wanted to ensure Camilla was cared for. Anne was unmoved. She told him that his duty was to the crown, not to his wife. She told him that by enriching Camilla, he was impoverishing the future of the monarchy. Then William entered the room. The confrontation between Anne and William was even more explosive. Anne accused William of being a dictator in waiting. She told him that his legal strike against Camilla's children was a disgraceful abuse of power. She said he was acting out of personal vengeance, not duty. William, reportedly red with rage, fired back. He told Anne that she didn't understand the modern world. He told her that the monarchy needed to be streamlined and ruthless to survive. He told her that her old-fashioned ideas of duty were obsolete. The argument escalated into a screaming match. Anne reportedly slammed her fist on the table and told William, "You are destroying everything our mother built." William's response was the final devastating blow. According to insiders, William looked at Anne and said, "Mother is dead, and her era is over. This is my monarchy now, and you will do as I say." The room fell silent. Anne stared at William for a long moment, and then without a word she turned and walked out. That was the moment the Iron Lady broke, not from the pain in her joints, but from the pain in her heart. She realized that the monarchy she had sacrificed her life for was gone. It had been replaced by a cold, calculating, ruthless corporation run by a brother who had lost his mind and a nephew who had lost his soul. She went back to her quarters, packed her bags, and left Balmoral. And she didn't stop until she had delivered her heartbreaking announcement to the palace. The physical and emotional toll on Princess Anne has been a closely guarded secret for years. The palace has systematically suppressed stories about her health to maintain the illusion of an unbreakable royal family. But the reality is far more grim. Princess Anne is in constant, agonizing pain. Decades of equestrian sports have left her with severe osteoarthritis. Her hips and knees have been replaced. Her spine is compressed. She has been advised by her doctors to stop standing for long periods and to avoid travel. But she ignored them. She kept working. She kept standing on rope lines in the freezing rain. She kept flying around the world to represent the king. She kept pushing her body past its breaking point because she believed that if she stopped, the monarchy would collapse. The palace exploited this. They saw a woman who would never complain, never ask for help, and never quit. And they used her. They loaded her schedule with engagements that should have been carried out by the king, the queen consort, and the Prince of Wales. While Charles was hiding in his sickbed and William was hiding in the country, Anne was holding the entire institution together. She was the only senior royal attending state banquets, opening hospitals, and meeting with foreign ambassadors. She was a one-woman royal PR machine. But behind the scenes, she was taking heavy painkillers just to get through the day. She was receiving secret injections to numb the inflammation in her joints. She was collapsing in her private residences after engagements, too exhausted to eat. The emotional toll was just as severe. Anne is a woman who values loyalty above all else. She watched her family betray each other repeatedly. Did Charles betray Diana? She watched Charles betray the Queen by elevating Camilla. She watched William betray Charles by stripping Camilla of her power. She watched Harry betray the entire institution by fleeing to America and writing a tell-all book. Anne was the only one who didn't betray anyone. She stayed. She worked. She served. And what was her reward? She was sidelined, ignored, and ultimately driven to a breakdown. The palace's darkest secret is not just that the royal family is corrupt or dysfunctional. It is that they are willing to sacrifice their own loyal members to protect their image. They will chew up a woman like Anne, use her until she is physically broken, and then cast her aside when she is no longer useful. When Anne announced her withdrawal, the palace was not concerned for her health. They were concerned for their schedule. They were terrified of the empty engagements, the missing photo opportunities, and the public backlash. They didn't see a woman in pain. They saw a broken tool that needed to be replaced. This is the heartbreaking reality of the British monarchy. It is an institution that consumes its own to survive, and Princess Anne is the latest victim. Prince William is now completely, utterly alone. When Anne walked out of Balmoral and announced her withdrawal, she didn't just remove herself from the public eye. She removed the last pillar holding up the crumbling roof of the monarchy. William is now facing a nightmare scenario. His father, King Charles, is bedridden and stripped of power. His wife, Princess Catherine, is hidden away, battling a severe medical crisis. His brother, Prince Harry, is in exile in California. His stepmother, Queen Camilla, is fighting a legal war to protect her billions. And now, his aunt, the only person left to carry the weight of the royal duties, has broken down and quit. The working roster of the royal family is now a ghost town. William is the only senior royal left standing. He is surrounded by minor royals like Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie, who, while loyal, do not have the star power or the public support to carry the institution. The royal calendar is collapsing, engagements are being cancelled, state visits are being postponed, the public appearances that are the lifeblood of the monarchy's public relations are grinding to a halt. William is paralyzed. He cannot step up to full-time royal duties because he is terrified of leaving Kate's side. He is dealing with his own emotional trauma, watching his father die and his family tear itself apart, and now he has to figure out how to run a monarchy with no staff, no support, and no allies. The pressure on William is immense. He is the Prince Regent. He holds the executive power of the state. But he is a king without a kingdom. The institution he is supposed to rule is collapsing around him. And the public is watching. They see the empty balconies. They see the canceled events. They see the fear and panic in William's eyes every time he steps out in public. William is realizing, too late, that he pushed too hard. He pushed Charles to step aside. He pushed to strip Camilla of her power. He pushed to exile her children. And in doing so, he destroyed the very institution he was trying to save. He alienated the only people who could have helped him. He drove Harry away. He humiliated Camilla. And he pushed Anne to her breaking point. Now, he is standing alone in the ruins of the House of Windsor, holding a crown that is crumbling to dust. The palace is desperately trying to convince Anne to return. They are offering her reduced duties, more staff, and more support. But Anne is reportedly refusing to take their calls. She is done. She has given everything, and there is nothing left to give. William's isolation is the ultimate proof that the ruthless, streamlined monarchy he envisioned is a failure. You cannot run a 1,000-year-old institution with one man. You need a family, and William has destroyed his. The announcement of Princess Anne's withdrawal is not just a personal tragedy. It is a full-blown constitutional crisis. The British government is in absolute chaos. The Prime Minister is watching the royal family implode with growing horror. The British Constitution relies on the monarch and the royal family to perform a vast array of state functions, from signing legislation to hosting foreign dignitaries. With Charles incapacitated and Anne gone, the state machinery is grinding to a halt. Parliament is in an uproar. The debates are ferocious. The monarchists are screaming that William has destroyed the royal family with his ruthless ambition. The Republicans are cheering, viewing this as the ultimate proof that the monarchy is an outdated, dysfunctional institution that needs to be abolished entirely. The legal implications are staggering. Can a Prince Regent effectively run the state without the support of the senior royal family? Can the monarchy function with only one active member? The British legal system is completely unprepared for this scenario. The lawyers are scrambling. The constitutional experts are arguing on live television. The country is divided, and the political instability is sending shockwaves through the financial markets. The pound is fluctuating. International investors hate uncertainty. And right now, there is no institution in the world more uncertain than the British Crown. The British public is waking up to a terrifying reality. The magic is gone. The fairy tale is dead. The women who used to stand on the balconies and wave to the crowds are gone. The men who are supposed to protect the crown are hiding in their palaces, fighting over money and power. The Commonwealth is also reeling. The Saint of the royal family and open civil war has given massive momentum to the Republican movements in Canada, Australia, and the Caribbean. Why should these countries retain the British monarch as their head of state if the royal family is tearing itself apart? The empire isn't just fading, it is being actively dismantled. Anne's announcement has triggered a domino effect that will permanently alter the geopolitical landscape of the world. The British monarchy has been fundamentally, irrevocably changed. King Charles is dying, stripped of his power and his legacy. Queen Camilla is fighting a legal war to protect her billions. Prince William is isolated, paralyzed, and watching his inheritance crumble. And Princess Anne, the Iron Lady of the royal family, has broken down and walked away, leaving the monarchy to die. The announcement she just made is not just a retirement, it is a surrender. It is a public declaration that the monarchy is no longer worth serving. The fairy tale is dead. The magic is gone. What remains is a brutal political reality where an ancient institution is collapsing in real time, broadcast to a world that is watching in shock and awe. The walls are closing in, the secrets are spilling out, and the House of Windsor will never be the same. What do you think? Do you think Princess Anne did the right thing by stepping down and walking away? Or do you think she has a duty to stay and fight for the monarchy, no matter the cost? Comment below with your verdict. And if you think there are even more secrets buried in the royal vaults, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell right now. We are just scratching the surface of the royal web of lies, and the next leak is coming sooner than you think.